Big push by the Army recruiting and hiring, and it's a whole different world right now. Joining me is Lieutenant Brett Toth, United States Army, active duty in the Army,
Sure.
graduate from West Point, which is quite an accomplishment that I don't think most people understand how difficult that is academically, physically, mentally, and to play football on top of that's a big bite, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you transition now, you're working at ASU, you're teaching at ASU, but you're also a professional football player. You're playing for the Arizona Cardinals. How is that working in those two worlds at once?
You definitely have to think more about how you handle your 24 hours out of a day. Definitely. So again, during season, any off day we get, I'm spending it at the ASU's ROTC program facilities, and again, just kind of interacting with the students. The off season, all 5 days out of the week, going into the facilities and again teaching the year twos. But it definitely keeps me grounded for sure. Again, everything you do, whether it's morning PT as well in the workouts in the off season for football, you're just getting prepared.
But a big shift in policy from the White House and from the Army, allowing athletes like yourself to also pursue professional athletics and serving your time as an officer. How's that working out?
Currently, the new policy going forward is that the players that are able to get drafted and able to pursue these professional sports will be deferring their time until after their athletics are over. So again, like you see in the NFL, they say the average lifespan is 18 months. It's a quick business, and essentially it's letting them see this platform, show their individual abilities, and then afterwards they still have the full 5 years.
But what's great about the recruiting part of what you're able to do is for an athlete that is thinking maybe professional sports, or for a high school athlete thinking college sports, this is a great plan for them to use that skill set, the teamwork, the athleticism, the intelligence, and go into a world where they can serve their country.
Absolutely.
So how do you talk to an athlete about that? Because most athletes are so laser focused on success, they don't want to think about a plan B. How do you talk to them?
Eventually that day comes where your sport's over, whether it's by an injury or just you just reach your maximum potential. And you again, like you mentioned, it's hard to focus on that plan B. You never want to think that it's going to end, but it does. You have to make these secondary plans. And a bunch of people, for myself included, you're exposed to the Army for the first time and it's just overwhelming. But then you start to kind of speak to people that have been within the service, talk about what it's done for them, and you kind of see the team aspect of it. You see that it's just like sports. You can aspire to go and get Ranger qualified, Sapper qualified, go to these specialty schools, and you, again, get to be in this position where you feel that team connection.
I think there's also a unique perspective where I think football is the most similar thing to the military in the teamwork aspect, in the trenches together, and really sacrificing yourself for the team. It's got to be easier to sell that to a football player because they understand that mentality from when they're playing in Pop Warner football all the way up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd even argue more so for that offensive line. I've been grateful to be in a part of the position. I got switched in from tight end back in high school, and I didn't know how it was going to go, but you realize how you're not in the limelight. You're not going to be recognized for all the great things that happen, but you are going to be a part of that team, and you're going to be a part of the success or failure that team has.
But also the respect within the locker room. You know, as a coach, as I did in high school, we had such a respect for the men that did the job in the front lines because they didn't score the touchdowns, but they were responsible for those touchdowns, and the team understood that, right?
Yeah, and it's, again, you just kind of, you go into your O-line meetings as well, and you kind of see the great things that you do, and all the O-line guys recognize it. But it's kind of, you're a quiet professional.
Do you, after your time at West Point and being in the Army, do you take pride in selling the Army to athletes and telling them what a great option this is for them? It's got to be a sense of pride for you.
Oh, absolutely, and I take it personal as well. It's a personal investment. You see how you've changed from when you were in high school prior to being exposed to the military, and then throughout your time at West Point. They talk about it being a 47-month leadership lab, and it's a transition from you first going in, and it's, in retrospect, you can see yourself personally, and you see how you see how the different perspectives that you take into consideration whenever you see any problem in front of you.
Well, as a Cardinals fan, I'm looking forward to seeing you on the field, but We do appreciate your service to the country. Honestly, it's quite a sacrifice, and for someone with the skill set you have to focus on this duty as well means even more. So thanks you. I appreciate you coming down.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'll be back.